Welcome back to PSL Living. I'm Sarah Prohaska, Communications Manager here at the City of Port St. Lucie. For our next guest, I've invited Mike Lubeck and Summer Burdick of our Neighborhood Services Department to just fill us in on a bunch of tips and useful information for our residents regarding the various functions of their department. Welcome, Mike, and welcome, Summer. We really appreciate you coming on. So the Neighborhood Services Department, you're one department that really is connected to our community in a lot of different ways. So I thought it would be great to have both of you on just to talk about the many different areas that affect our residents that you both deal with on a daily basis. And just to give us some tips and helpful information to make life easier for you and for us.
Excellent.
So Mike, so I know one thing that your department is always dealing with is just trying to get information out there about how to put out your trash correctly, how to put out your recycling correctly so it gets picked up and it doesn't, everything goes as it should with waste.
Yeah, we do receive a lot of communication from our residents as to how they should go about putting out their waste, whether it's solid waste or it's recyclables.
Yes.
And also the yard debris. We'd like to come on the show to talk about the easy tips that could probably save a lot of us a lot of time.
Yes.
And also sometimes they call in with concerns or complaints about issues that are something that could be handled prior to putting out or as they're putting their debris out or their recyclables out.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to come on and provide this data. To give you some ideas, one of our biggest concerns that we have out there right now between our hauler, our solid waste hauler, is containerizing our debris.
Okay.
To give you an idea, we have 1.2 million pickups a month. And of those,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and when you consider that on an average day, that's anywhere from 40 to 50,000 pickups.
Okay.
So having a Waste Pro currently is our hauler, having a hauler have to stop and pick up uncontainerized debris. I mean, you add 2-3 seconds or even 5 seconds to a pickup. I mean, that adds hours to a route.
So basically, the best method is put it in a can, right?
Yes.
Or in a bag.
Or a bag.
Okay.
If it's leaves, something of that sort, or grass clippings.
Okay.
It is required by city code as well under section 50.04 that you containerize your debris.
Okay.
And that makes it a lot easier on obviously our haulers, but also on people that may be at the end of your route that are waiting for the haulers to come by and they're being delayed because of
Yeah, because there's lots of, there's a big pile of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I've actually gone on the trucks to see how they actually operate and to see how much it slows them down, and it is tremendous the amount of delay we have.
Just having to pick stuff up and throw it in the truck.
Because they're not equipped to handle picking up loose debris such as grass clippings. They have to actually rake them up, put them in a shovel.
Yeah.
We plead with our residents, please put them in containers so it can be easily removed. And also from another environmental standpoint, we don't want this debris or whether it's grass clippings or whatnot to get into our swale and get into our river.
Yes.
So it's two reasons that we really need to make sure it's containerized.
All right. Okay. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I know with recycling, a big thing is making sure that the can or the container is put out correctly by the curb. So how should they do that?
So they want the handle to be not facing the road, but actually the lid portion where it opens up to be facing the road.
Okay.
There is an arrow on it. It might be a little bit difficult to see as it's the same color as the can, but you do want to have it to where the road and then you have the can with the handle facing towards your house, not towards the road.
And that's because with the recycling, you don't have actual workers picking those up. It's
all mechanical.
It's all on the truck, and it's got a little arm that flips it in.
Which leads us to another call that we get. Is to also add to that is there's a little metal bar that's on the front of that recycle bin, and that's actually where it hooks on to the truck.
Okay.
We please advise our citizens to make sure that there's enough room on either side of the recycle bin so they can, because there's bars that come around and grab a hold of that
Okay.
container. And there has to be enough room for them to do so.
So don't put your trash can right next to it.
No.
Or next to a mailbox,
Okay.
or next to a,
Any
you know,
kind of structure.
That's correct.
Or a light pole or a, yeah.
And believe it or not, one of the calls that we get is sometimes the recycle bin doesn't get completely emptied,
Okay.
and I've been it's happened to me as well.
Yeah.
And realistically, it's because sometimes you put a pizza box in there, it's perfect.
It gets jammed in there.
If you put it in, it's almost the same size as the recycle bin. So when
Once
the arms
the-
come around it squeezes it just a little bit, and squeezes it and holds the box in there.
Okay. So trying to kind of break them up and put them in there so it's kind of loose.
Correct.
Put your
Yes,
so
definitely
it's
loose.
so if you can imagine that the truck is pushing your stuff into the truck, then it should be able to come out.
Just anticipate that it's going to be squeezed a little bit when it gets grabbed, and make sure it's not too tight where there's a possibility it could get stuck in the bottom of it.
Okay.
If it does, you'll know that it maybe was packed a little bit too tight.
Okay. All right. So that's stuff that we can do on our end to help the process
Yeah.
Yes.
go along smoothly. And it is, because you don't think about how long it might take those workers to pick up the piles.
Yeah.
And then that means your neighbor might have to wait a little bit longer, and think about the domino effect down the
Some of-
40,000 pickups that they have that day.
We have 16 trucks out there slated for garbage.
Yeah.
And you consider that if they have to take 5 more seconds per, some of our routes are anywhere from 1,100 to 1,800 in size. So that's a long day for those routes, and they may not be getting to you until 7, 8 o'clock at night. We don't want that.
No.
We want our stuff picked up sooner, but we also want to make sure that things are emptied properly, and in some cases, which we'll talk about in a few seconds, is that also that debris is not passed by because of its size.
Okay. So what happens when that happens?
One of the another one of our concerns or
Yeah.
calls that we get is when people put out yard debris. A good rule of thumb is this: if it took you several trips to put out your yard debris, it may take several trips for it to be picked up.
Okay.
Because in order to maintain this level of service, the yard waste trucks, they'll combine, they'll pick up a handful or 2 handfuls of it. Basically, if it's about the size of a refrigerator on its side,
Okay.
Then
it's
it
going
will
to be
need the clam truck.
It's going to need the clam truck. So
Okay.
that truck is then coming within the next 72 hours.
Okay.
So, and what we currently have is our haulers putting tickets on there now saying it's been identified as a pile
were
that needs to be
not
picked up
missed.
by a clam truck.
Oh, that's good.
So it'll be picked up. So please be cognizant if you have a pile that's over that,
Okay.
or you anticipate that, please call our vendor.
Okay.
And just schedule a clam truck pickup.
Okay.
And that way you're not concerned or calling in saying, why didn't they pick up my debris? Well,
You can initiate the process.
Yes.
you can initiate the process,
Okay.
and it definitely relieves some of those anxieties
Yeah.
when you're like, why didn't they get picked out?
Yeah.
And you're calling in trying to find that out, and just something as simple as making a phone call.
Okay, wonderful. And that's great. Good to know about them putting tags on it.
Yes.
That kind of alleviates some of that wondering and
It'll
worrying.
explain exactly what's
Yeah.
going on and why they actually passed by. It's not that they missed it; it's that truck wasn't capable of picking that up. Because if you think about those large piles, it would never finish its route if it picked up all those piles.
By hand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do have unlimited pickup, but we have another truck that takes care of the larger.
The clamshell truck, right? Okay.
And speaking of yard debris, it's around that time where it's time to start preparing for hurricane
Yes.
season. So it's basically our spring cleaning time, as anyone would say. And you would need to cut your trees,
Do it now.
Do it now, yes. Anything, clean out your garage, anything that you need to do to make space for the hurricane, make sure to do that now, and then call Waste Pro, schedule those bulk pickups, and we can get that picked up in a timely fashion to where we're not waiting until a hurricane has been named.
Yeah, and once a hurricane is in our area, you shouldn't be doing that at
No.
all.
That brings up a
that's-
very, very important.
This is the time to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that I want to make sure I put a plea out to our residents is this: please don't wait till it's hurricane season to put out this debris. Many times, especially last hurricane, Irma, you have to anticipate that the landfill is only open till 5:30, and it may be closed down during,
Yeah.
before the event starts.
Yes.
And people then, some individuals may put out large piles of debris, and maybe their car now they want to put in the garage that was full before, and all these debris piles are now out by the road, and we're unable to actually keep up. So now these piles that are out there, whether the landfill was closed or we just didn't have enough time to pick up this large amount of debris that was put out in a particular 3-day period.
Yeah.
So now this debris is out there and it could become a projectile.
Yeah, so you either have to move that into your garage, you have to do
Yes.
something to take care of it yourself, which who wants to do that?
That's why we're pleading right now to make the cuts now, trim back your debris while it's still cool out.
Yeah, that's a
And
good
also
time.
to prepare to clean your garage out for the things that you don't want to have in there for an eventual storm. And, we do get storms, and
Yes.
you need to prepare now so you're not putting debris out there and it's sitting out there during the storm.
That's exactly true. So, yeah, this is the perfect time of year to do that. And like you said, you could call right now for your clamshell pickup and get it all taken care of. So when hurricane season comes, that's one less thing you have to stress about.
Yes.
So that is one less thing you have to worry about. You can worry about your other preparations.
Correct.
So, all right. So another thing, Mike, I wanted to bring up while I have you here is signs.
Yes.
So there has been some changes to the city's sign ordinance.
Correct.
And it was done because of federal level Supreme Court ruling, so
Correct.
that we have to comply with. So can you give us just a little background on what's happening with our signs, especially regarding garage sale signs?
Yes. It's a landmark case, 2015, Reed versus the town of Gilbert, where the federal government basically stated that signs have to be not viewed or categorized by content.
Yes.
All signs are equal, so we cannot have different categories of signs or allow for any sign to have a priority over another. So we obviously wanted to be in compliance with this federal rule, so we changed our code to basically state that you can have a sign on private property. When it's residential, it can't be over 16 square feet. You could have multiple signs,
Yeah.
but the square footage is the same. But it's not more or less gauged or regulated by the content.
Yeah.
We no longer read the sign. So whether it's a real estate sign, whether it's a garage sale sign, or whether it's a I like Mike sign,
Yeah.
you can't. Yes, you can't. We can't
Utilize
discriminate
it right
it. We
away.
can't. Correct. So as long as you don't go over to 16 square feet, you're allowed to have it on your private property.
On your private property. So just to recap, so the way I've been kind of explaining it to people who ask me, it's either we either had to allow every sign in the world in our right of way,
Oh, yes.
or we had to allow no signs in our right of way. So the city went with it was all or nothing. So to keep our city beautiful and
To keep the litter down.
To keep the litter down.
Correct.
There are no signs allowed in the right of ways.
That's right.
But you do have an option, your private property or anybody else's private property that you have permission to utilize.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then our right-of-ways, they're there for a purpose. They're to convey, make sure water flows. They're there for
Yeah.
emergency pull-off areas for vehicles and parking. So when you allow anything to be within our right-of-way, we have to consider whether it's going to be a hazard for vehicles or pedestrians, and also to make sure our utilities flow properly. So that was the
Exactly.
reason the city took it upon itself to say, we're going to stay on private property versus on our right-of-way. It just
Exactly.
comes into a safety issue
Yeah.
as a practical matter.
So yeah, so if you have a garage sale, you can put it in your yard, right? You can put it in anyone else's yard who you have permission from.
That's right.
But we also have another resource which is really popular that some people believe is maybe even more effective than signs, which is our online garage sale map. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about this.
So any resident within the city of Port St. Lucie can go on our city's website and go and apply for a garage sale permit. And it's not actually a permit anymore. It's a TB20 form is what it's
Okay.
categorized on our website. And it will be placed on the map as well as on TV channel 20. So they have that as a form of advertisement, not other than just the signs.
Great. So yeah, and a lot of people utilize that map.
Yes.
To plan their garage sale excursions. It's easier because then you're not just looking for random signs. You know where everything's happening. So we really utilize the people who are looking for garage sales and who want to shop at them and who
Yes.
want to hold one to
It also
utilize
lists
them.
what's on there. And it tells you
What they're
what you can
selling.
shop for, so you can go
Yeah.
through and decide, I'm looking for tools. And you can go through the categories to find where the sales are that have tools. And
Yeah.
then you can map out your day.
Yeah.
Print out the map and you're good to go. So it's an excellent resource
Yeah.
for our citizens to go on. But from a person that wants to have a garage sale, you can have up to 3 of them a year. Because our software only allows you to have the 3.
Okay.
And that's what the code basically states.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so that's some good information about signs and just kind of explaining why we're having to do what we're doing with signs. It was actually a federal Supreme Court ruling that we're complying with.
Correct.
And so this is how we're doing it. So Yeah.
It realistically, it's easy to go to your neighbor and say, hey, would you mind if I could put my sign out here? I'm having a garage sale this
Yeah.
weekend, so you can get your advertising. We want them to have their sales.
yes.
We just want to make sure that we are in compliance with federal law.
Okay, well, thank you both for coming on. I think
you,
we
Sarah.
touched on a lot of good, important information. And as the year goes on and we have more information that we like to get out, I'd like to have you both back on.
Well, thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having us.
Okay, thanks so much. And we'll be right back after these messages.